What's going on, guys? Today we are going to be showcasing FL4UNCHER, an explosive RAKK or fadeaway build made by none other than Rakks himself. Now, this build is pretty versatile, but we will be focusing on explosive weapons and two-fang. With that being said, let's just hop straight into it and break down the build and the skill trees. Now, basically, we are mainly focusing on the Plague Bearer for mobbing. I got one in every element with the Splash Anointment. If you guys can't find the Splash Anointment, that's fine, but keep in mind that the Rakks from RAKK Attack actually do benefit from Splash. So that's why we can make a sort of hybrid build using Rakks and launchers. But honestly, I like to use this build with fadeaway sometimes in areas like the Maliwan takedown anyway. Second best anointments you could be looking out for is like consecutive hits, or maybe just like weapon damage ASE, you know, if you gotta settle for that. So it's pretty simple, just element match wherever you're fighting, shock in the Guardian takedown, rad in the Maliwan takedown, corrosive against some of the armored bosses, or switch over to the back burner for bossing. Now, what's so awesome about this build actually is you have a lot of versatility and choices. Right now I have on the Deadeye, but that's because I like to do the Maliwan takedown with fadeaway instead of Rakks. The thing is right now, and especially with enemy weapons scaling to M10, going into fadeaway really helps in a place like the Maliwan takedown where they just shoot so much damage and elemental puddles at you. But with that being said, I really love running Rakks in the Guardian takedown. And like I said, where that versatility comes in is we can actually run a RAKK pack over in the Guardian takedown. Just find the best bonuses you can on it. Like this one had heavy weapon damage and no other damage bonuses even, but weapon charge speed is really awesome too. Another really cool thing is the artifact we're running. I'm actually playing with a Snowdrift Vic Rush right now. You can also play with an auto idol if you really want to, but what you're really looking for is that AoE damage roll, the area of effect. Not only is this gonna boost your RAKK damage, but also your launcher damage. No Pearl of Knowledge necessary, and you get a little bit of extra movement speed, which kind of helps out in this build when you need to run from your own explosions. When it comes to the grenade, we are running none other than the Hunter Seeker. If you guys didn't know, but the Hunter Seeker basically shoots bullets, and it has it basically works with Megavore and can trigger Headcount and leave no trace. Now, I think it's pretty important you get a Hunter Seeker in this setup because we're not spamming a gun like the Reflux. These Plague Bearers, while they do create multiple projectiles, they don't give you the ammo return like something like a Reflux or Headcount like something like a Monarch would give you. And that's why I like mainly running Rakks in this setup. But like I said, fadeaway can come in handy for somewhere like where I'm at right now, the Maliwan takedown. Fadeaway is very nice with Not My Circus and Unblinking Eye. Finally, for the shield, we are running the one-shotter. We are going all in on the most damage and explosives we can possibly make. You are either in fight for your life shooting rockets, or you're up on your feet. It doesn't matter. We don't care about survivability. We are going for the most explosions and impact possible. Another awesome thing, this build not only takes advantage of overkill, obviously, when we get those kills on enemies, but don't forget that Megavore can trigger Hollow Point, which is more explosions and more explosive damage. One last thing I do want to bring up again is the versatility in class mods. You can use a RAKK pack for your RAKK setups, Deadeye or Deadeye with fadeaway, and then Bounty Hunters is perfectly fine for bossing. We really do have a ton of versatility when it comes to this build and this setup. Yo guys, I had to hop in here real quick before we break down the skill trees, and I have to let you guys know something about the anointments we're using. The 200% splash anointment and also the 25% on grenade throw anointment for that matter. Both of these anointments are actually on hit modifiers. So we actually just have to activate these anointments before our launchers hit. So basically what I'm getting at is we can shoot, and then we can cast our Rakks, and then we can throw our grenade. So just kind of keep that stuff in mind. I really recommend tossing your grenades while you're actually charging your Plague Bearer. That's usually the best time to do it because you can't throw Rakks or else you will disrupt it. And then you can toss a Rakk after that. So just keep that in mind that these are actually on hit modifiers and not on shot. They don't need to be active when we shoot, they just need to be active when they hit. And then one other thing before we get into the skill trees, I have forgotten all the Mayhem modifiers since I've been making builds for Mayhem 2.0 pretty much. Generally I run the same modifiers. I avoid the The immunity modifiers, like the elemental immunities, I avoid not the face, and then you can really pick whatever easy modifier you want. And you notice in this build, we're actually using more than OK Boomer, because this is going to give us grenade drops from enemies that we kill, and then we could toss more Hunter Seekers. So yeah, just avoid elemental immunities. These bottom three are generally what I stick to, or Buddy System is the very hard. And then there's also like Drone Ranger, that's not bad, and Laser Fair even is pretty great. But yeah. Now hopping into the game, let's go straight over to the skill trees. Now just a couple notes here. The first is that Rage and Recover now works properly. We are getting our full health regen. So using Rage and Recover and Self-Repairing System is some pretty decent health regen in this build. Besides that, normally we would take Overclocked in a good flex setup, but since we're just using launchers, fire rate doesn't really matter. We stuck a couple points into Eager to Impress, and that kind of has to do with what I mentioned with the Hunter Seekers, Headcount, and launchers. Launchers are not the best weapons for Headcount, so, Eager to Impress also helps, but don't even worry, you'll be getting your action skills back really quickly anyway. Besides that, we have some pretty obvious takes, Lick the Wounds and Turn Tail and Run, Fast and Furious, and then we grab the Power inside. We are definitely going to be spamming our action skills, and not only that, like I said, if you're wearing maybe an auto idol even, like our health isn't really, will stay full a lot of the times, to be honest. No points in Blue Tree, and then we come over to Red. Like I said, I really do enjoy spamming Rakks with this build, and what's really awesome is splash damage anointments. This all adds damage to your Rakks, and then when we're using the RAKK pack, we basically have a hybrid RAKK launcher setup, and it's pretty awesome. You notice I'm actually using the Cryo Rakks. This is because, Rakks were never good against shields, but at least with the Cryo Rakks, we are neutral to armor, and then we get good damage versus flesh anyway, and this also slows enemies. Cryo obviously slows enemies, and that lets our Plague Bearer projectiles hit them faster. Besides that, we are just using Flock and Load, and this is to get the most damage out of our Rakks possible. We really don't need Rakk Accelerate, and I haven't noticed myself missing Falconer's Feast either, as crazy as that sounds. So I really recommend just using Flock and Load to get the most damage out of your Rakks possible. Now, going over the red tree, we have some pretty obvious takes. One thing I do want to note is we are not using Hunter Eye, and we are using Ambush Predator. This is simply for the Guardian takedown. The Guardians themselves do not get any bonuses with Hunter's Eye. However, you can take this for the Guardian takedown anyway, but then you're only going to want to use it for bossing with a Bounty Hunter. So that's the only reason we took Ambush Predator over this. Otherwise, we would always put 5 points into Hunter's Eye and no points into Ambush Predator. But I did kind of just want to spec this way to point out to you guys that this is an option. And even with this setup, I clear the Mallow takedown easily. Any other content in the game, we just do so much damage, it kind of doesn't matter. But just keep in mind that Hunter's Eye is generally the better option. Next, we got 5 points into Two Fang. This is all you need. However, you can wear a Deadeye to boost this a little bit further. You even notice a lot of my Deadeyes don't have that many points into Two Fang. But this is just great for launchers, giving us that extra projectile occasionally. It's really strong. Next, we've got Big Game and the most dangerous game. Obvious takes. We've got Galactic Shadow, just an easy pick. Grim Harvest, giving us gun damage, action skill damage. This is once again for the hybrid RAKK setup. This is mainly a RAKK build, but I did want to point out the thing about fadeaway for those of you who do like fadeaway better. And like I said, I'm not going to lie, especially for areas like the bridge on the Mallow takedown, being able to hop in fadeaway and get some of that aggro off of you, when enemies are just throwing so much damage at you, and especially that they have M10 weapons. In the Mallow takedown, I think I definitely prefer fadeaway. But like I said, for the Guardian takedown and using this build in general, I really do like using Rakks because, like I said, we can pull some awesome damage out of them. And finally, Megavore. Now, like I said, this is going to give us hollow point triggers with our launchers. This is an overkill build at the end of the day, so keep that in mind. But this build is awesome. I hope you guys enjoy this build. And real quick, for those of you who watched to the end, The reshot fade didn't go anywhere. The reflux is still awesome. I will be posting the new 3-shot flak setup for you guys, still using the reflux and some other goodies and some new strats. And anyways, guys, that is going to be it from me. I'll see you in the next one. I'm out.